Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome to our virtual Copilot briefing session. We have a pretty big crowd with us today, so let's waste no time. My name is Catherine, and I'm with the marketing team here at ProServeIT. Joining me in the background today is Betty Kwan. She will also be our moderator for the session and moderating the chat. If you have any questions, she'll be answering them as well. So we do have a really great session planned today. And typically, how we've been running these is that we would dive into the content, go over what is Copilot, what it can do. But today, I was thinking to do this a little different because as I was going through everyone's submissions for the session, it looked like a lot of us actually already have Copilot and are just trying to figure out what can I do? How can I use this better? And even if you don't have Copilot licenses, I think just seeing it in action will help you understand what it can even do. So that's what we're going to do today. And then we're just going to go through some next steps and some opening the discussion as well towards the end of the briefing. Again, if you do have any questions, just pop them in the chat. Like I said, Betty will be monitoring it to get them answered. And if you do have any audio or visual issues, you can always just come back again. And just on a last note, we will be removing any AI note takers from the meeting as well. So I hope that sounds good. And here we're just going to go straight into the day in a life with Copilot. So for today, like I said, it's going to be very demo based. That's all we're going to do is see Copilot in Outlook, Teams, Word, PowerPoint, all those different apps. And I'm going to show you different tips or different tricks that you may not even know that Copilot can do. So hopefully it'll be a win for me if you just take a learning from that. Or even if you have any questions about, can Copilot do this in a specific app? Just feel free to stop me during the session. All right, let's get into Outlook first. We all start with emails on a day-to-day basis. There's tons that come in. Now, with Copilot, it's very easy to summarize your emails, draft emails. There are even some other things that you may not even know. So let's get into it. So as you can see, I have Copilot here in the top right-hand corner. And you might be familiar with this type of user interface where it's very much like a chat, right? I like to start off my day asking Copilot, do I have any action items in my emails that I need to follow up in the past week? Because as I said, a lot of us get emails all the time. Some of it just gets cluttered and maybe there are some specific emails that you may have missed. So as you can see, Copilot can go into my inbox, pick out a couple things. I have Anyika asking me to shift the meeting, for example, some blog topic outlines. Betty provided some feedback and requested new outlines for specific blogs. As you can see, I'm up to speed with this. I don't need to scroll in my inbox to find those emails that I missed. What's really helpful with Copilot is that you'll see these reference boxes. Now, what I really like to do is sometimes I can click this box and it will open that email straight right away. Now, let's say there's a specific action item here that I need to do. What I will do is actually flag this. So I can flag this. Maybe I want to catch up on this tomorrow. I can do that and close that right here. Now, the reason why I showed that was because if I go into my to-do, there is a to-do button here on the left-hand side. All those emails that I just found with Copilot, I'm able to have them flagged and I can see tomorrow I have to do a task. So really easy, as you can see, I can streamline my work day or my work week with those tasks that I need to do. And I can get into here. And again, really easy. You can see that I have the email right here and I can open that again. So as you can see, that was really easy from taking one of the tasks and start organizing my day with it. And I can set some reminders or even to add some notes. All right. Another thing, what we'll do is, let's say I have these action items from my emails. I can ask Copilot, can you actually convert these tasks into a table? I'm a visual person, so I like to see it in a table. Amy, I see you have a question. Is this only when you access it through web? What about if you use Outlook from your desktop? You should be able to do it from your desktop as well. Copilot should be in the desktop app. I know this is not a pretty view, so let's open this up a bit more. What's this? Now, let's see. Copilot just finishing the final touches. This is getting very squished, and I believe this is supposed to be the link to the email. So I'm not too sure what Copilot's doing right now, so I apologize.
Catherine, we have a question about the prompt that you used for this.
Yes. Can you restate the prompt you used to get that list? Yes. And I'm happy to put that in the chat as well. So normally this is not how Copilot should be giving me my action table. Let me just show you what it should look like, because I can go to my previous chat history as well. Can you configure save prompts to click on in the future? Yes, you can. And should Copilot appear in Outlook? It should appear in Outlook. Leave. This is the right one. Yes. So as you can see, this should be how the table looks like. And again, it can vary just how it could have been the prompt that I used. This one particularly worked. I tried it again and it didn't work today. So maybe you have to say, I want this in a table format with the task, the description, the contact, and then the status. So that could have been the reason why when we tried it, it didn't work. But you'll see you can organize it properly in a table if that is better for you versus how we looked at it right here. Rod, I see you have to be in the new Outlook. Yes, you do have to be in the new Outlook. I'm pretty sure. But I think they did bring Copilot to the old Outlook as well. It just might not work as well as a new Outlook. All right. A couple other things. Thank you, Michael, for confirming. A couple other things that you can do with Copilot in Outlook, you may not even know this, is you can actually create rules. So just asking Copilot, create a rule to highlight in red and pin to the top of my emails from Dina. For example, I can send that to Copilot and it will recognize that I want to create a rule. And it should pop up the rule box, as you can see right here. So really easy, I can tell Copilot the type of rule and then create it from here, right? So I want it to be from Dina. Can we categorize this in red and also pin to the top? Let's run that rule and we can save that. It might take a bit to process, but that's okay. We'll go back to my Outlook to see the rule process. Another last thing you may not know Copilot can do is actually find time to meet with, and actually, let me try this again. We can go to schedule. There we go. And then Copilot will know the people you're working with on a day-to-day basis. So let's say I want to meet with Joy and also Betty. Do it this way. 1 second. Let's try this again. Gosh. Here we go. People. And let's find a time to meet with Betty as well. Right? We could even add maybe Onyeka, because sometimes managing calendars can be tough. Let's find a time to meet with all these people. And Copilot will now go through my schedule, Betty's schedule, Joy's and Onyeka's. And it says we have created an event where all of you are available. And then we can open this up and we'll see everyone's available at this time and we could schedule that meeting here. All right. Do we have any questions about Outlook before I move on?
Are
Pauline,
those features supported in all versions of Outlook?
It should mostly be the new features. I'm sorry, the new Outlook. You can get Copilot in the old Outlook. I'm not 100% sure if all these features are available with the old Outlook.
How does it get to other people's, like other users' calendar? They have to give it right, or?
It should. That could be a more technical question, but I believe when you're setting up Copilot, you give the specific permissions that Copilot can access.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I see a couple more. Pauline says, can you please show how to configure save prompts just to click on in the future? Yes, I will show that. Ask Copilot, give me a meeting with Lisa. It said I cannot connect. Okay, yeah, that could be why, Phil. Maybe it is the permissions that are set in the back end. All right, let's move on to Teams. So in Teams, Copilot is here just, we saw in Outlook, like it is on the chat kind of interface. Now, what I like to do with Copilot in Teams is you're talking every single day with people you work closely with. And you remember in the conversation, I had a conversation about Betty with something about the blogs this month. Rather than scrolling all the way to find that information, I can just ask Copilot, give me that update on the blogs for this month. And then Copilot will go through our chat. It'll show from the date where it's taking this information from. And then we go ahead and see Betty confirmed the blogs are in June. I already took a look at some of the comments and then even mentioning some of the industries, right? Very similar to what we saw in Outlook, you do have those references where I can go back and see what we were talking about right there. And as you can see, it found that piece of information really quickly rather than me scrolling. So that was one thing I wanted to show with Copilot in chat. This can also work in Teams channels as well. It doesn't have to be a chat. Another thing is even using it in meetings. So right now we have our meeting being transcribed. I can pull up Copilot here, ask what has been discussed so far. Let's say you were late 10 minutes to a meeting. If it was transcribed and recorded, Copilot should be able to find that information in real time. So as you can see, we're talking about a couple of things. Copilot in Outlook, now we're in Teams, saving prompts, classic first new Outlook. So in real time, it is going through what we're talking about right here. And then again, you have those references, like I mentioned. So it's really easy for Copilot to find that information. And Mauricio, it does have to be transcribed. It doesn't need to be recorded, just transcribed. All right. Last thing I wanted to show is even a past meeting. So let's say that was the current meeting we're in. Let's say I have a past meeting. So I'm going to open up a reoccurring meeting I have with Anyeka, one of my colleagues. We typically always transcribe our meetings so we can get up to speed on a different date. So let's say I go to my recap tab. So these are all the meetings that we have transcribed. I have June 11th here. So since we transcribed it, Copilot will have this AI summary. And as you can see, we have the meeting notes here and even follow-up tasks. So what I can do is open up Copilot. It knows that I'm referencing this specific meeting. And I can just talk about, maybe I want to know specifically something about website management. So give me a recap what I need to work on for website management that we talked about in yesterday's meeting. So the managed services page, what we need to do, there's a Microsoft workshop page and even an industry page as well. So I know up to speed, I need to work on these specific pages versus even one going back to the recording and finding exactly what we were said, or even in the transcript, Copilot will find that for me. And like I said, you do have those references if you want to go back to the transcript and read it again. All right. So now we're going to go back here. Any questions on Teams before we move on to Word? If they do come up, just ping me in the chat. Okay, so in Word, using Copilot in Word will really help you draft content quickly. I say Copilot is like that first initial draft to get you started. So you're not looking at a blank page all the time. It will just get you those ideas. It's really good for brainstorming. There are two ways you can use Copilot in Word. So you have drafting content. And if you can see here with Copilot, it even is looking at some of the documents that I have been using on a day-to-day lately, draft a document based on this sync up or even this PowerPoint I'm working on. So it understands what I've been working on. And then there's another Copilot icon here, which actually opens it very similar to what we saw in Teams and Outlook. This can create content here or also ask any questions about the content you're looking at. So there are two ways that you can really use Copilot here. So what we're going to do is actually ask Copilot, as we saw that I need to make some website pages. Let's say I want to have a list of steps and actions to make a new website page about this resource hub for Microsoft 365 Copilot. So I want to know exactly what I need to do to create this page. Copilot can start that for me, which it looks pretty good of the process that I would typically go through. Let's look at the target audience. Let's plan the structure. Let's do some wireframing, develop and optimize the content. Maybe we want to put some features and then launch and promote the page. So let's say I'm really happy with it. I could even go back and make some edits here with Copilot. But what I will do is let's actually turn this into a table so we can start planning this website page with Onyeka. Right? So I have the section, I have the tasks that we need to do. I even have an owner and then the due date. Now, specifically for me, what I will like to do is here's this table. Onyeka and I typically always use Microsoft Loop, which is, if you haven't used that yet, you should definitely explore this. But for now, I'm just going to show you, it's kind of OneNote and Teams combined. So I could just completely paste that table right in our loop to keep us organized. And then let's say with the owner here, I'm going to put myself. And then here I can even put Onyeka, for example. See if it will, here we go. And something I did want to show is I could copy this loop as a component and even send this off into an email. So as you can see, Copilot really helped me get our plan together. I have that loop and I can send that off, right, to Onyeka. Now, the cool thing I actually wanted to show with this is actually should be updated in real time. So let's say I add myself here. And then I can add Onyeka as the web developer. Let's see. So, and then maybe I'm asking Onyeka, can you please add due dates? And in real time, if we go back to that loop component, you'll see I have myself and Onyeka here. So taking the place that we like to collaborate, even if I send it in an email, it will still always update this way. Now, that's just a helpful tip that I wanted to show. Okay, now that we have everything put together, let's say we want to create this into a PowerPoint. What we can do is actually copy this link right here. We're going to bring this now into PowerPoint and we're going to ask Copilot to help us out here. So I'm actually going to open up in desktop, and the reason for that is because I'm going to show you how you can actually create branded templates with Copilot. So I have a blank PowerPoint here. I'm just going to go to the design tab. Now, if you have or your organization has a branded template for PowerPoint, you should definitely upload it and have it synced into your design area here. So the way you do that is that you would go save that template and then upload it into PowerPoint by browsing for the theme. So you always have it here as the template. If you don't do that and you start creating PowerPoints with Copilot, it's just going to take the basic default design. But if you want it with the branded, this is the way to go. And then we're going to open up Copilot and we're going to ask, can you create a presentation from this file? And we can just paste it right there. In the meantime, Rod, I see, will that loop table also work in sync up with Planner? Yeah, it should. And I see Betty, you also put the response there, so thank you. Yeah, I think same thing. I've tried it before. You can put a Planner component into Loop if that is what you're asking about. All right. So as you can see, Copilot drafted us in 14 slides as I was answering Rod's question. So really, really quickly, it looked at that structure we had on that Word document. So it created that agenda for us, drafted us slides. Another thing to note that Copilot in PowerPoint does include speaker notes. It can create images and then even laid it all out. So agenda, as you can see. And then remember, since I am in my branded template, I can just swap out how it looks really easily. Maybe I didn't like the way it looked here. Maybe I want to change a different format for this one, for example. That's actually not nice to look at, so let's not do that one, but different ways I can use Copilot with the slides here. And here you'll see the speaker notes. So it does get you the slides quickly. I wouldn't say it's 100% done, but it does a good chunk of the task for us. Any questions on PowerPoint? If not, we are going to move on to Copilot Chat. Now, this is probably what a lot of us are familiar with or have been using or even trying. Amy, I can go back for you. How do I change a picture? If I select this picture and I go to change picture, stock images, if you don't know, PowerPoint offers a ton of different stock images if you have the Microsoft 365 license. So you have a ton. I can just search maybe employee, for example. Maybe I want to use maybe this photo. Insert, they'll swap that out for you. I hope that helps. All right. Going back to chat, and thank you, Betty, for putting the link in so you could even try this with me if you want, just to orient ourselves a bit. Since I do have a Copilot license, Microsoft 365 license, you'll see I have two different versions, a work and a web tab. The web tab is what Betty just sent. That is the free version, similar to ChatGPT. The work is that Microsoft 365 license, and that's when it will go into my meetings, my emails, my chats to find that information in all my files. The web, that's that web-based search. I did want to call out that what's really good about Copilot is that there is enterprise data protection across the board when you're using the web and the work. So as you can see, you have that right here. I see a couple questions, Rod, for team training. If I want to create a slide with how to instructions, can I have Copilot transcribe and take that screenshot as I walk it through putting that into PowerPoint? What do you mean by Copilot transcribing the instructions or screenshots? And then I see another question. How can I implement the changes into Docs and Word or PowerPoint using Copilot? It always replies that it can't edit the file and it just gives me suggestions. So for Word specifically, you should be able to edit the file. Like, for example, if I go back here, when you have this file, you'll see Copilot here, and that's when I can make changes right in Copilot, if that's what you're talking about. So you should be able to, unless there's some type of restrictions on editing file.
Sorry, when you use the other option next to the file,
You mean this option?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
It doesn't apply.
That's what you're saying. It can't make changes onto the file this way.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's right. This is more of asking questions about the file. So for example, what is step 4? That's a very broad prompt, but it's more of finding the information in the document is where you would use this type of Copilot in Word. If you want to make direct edits, I would recommend doing this, using this Copilot.
But you have to select part of the...
And you have to select it, yeah.
Yeah.
You would have to select it. Let's say I wanted to make it shorter, for example. It will give me suggestions. Instead of replacing it, I typically like to use insert below. So you still have the initial writing up here.
For example, very simple adjustment. We want to ask Copilot to fix the errors, grammatical errors.
Right.
Should we select all of it and ask within the prompt, or
Yeah,
like in?
I would do that, but I would also suggest doing it section by section and maybe not all of it at once. What
Yeah.
you could even do, it's easier to do it in Word, but another way is like you could select all of it and even put it in Copilot chat if you wanted to. So either way, there's some options for you. Okay, a couple more. Let's search the web when required while in work mode. Yes, it can do that. Let's go back to chat. So if I turn on to work, you'll see up here, Copilot response includes web content. And what it will actually do is separate the answers so it can have the information it finds in your work, and then it can find information on the web. So you can differentiate that way. And I see, Betty, you answered Rod's question. Thank you. If I select work contents, I ask Copilot to search within, such as a book. Is it still considered the content in the book I use within my enterprise? I believe so. Are you saying you use Copilot and you're asking it to look at this book? Is that still within your data? Am I understanding the question correctly? I do have an
That's
alternate.
right,
Yeah.
Catherine. So what I meant was for some contents, it's
Mhm.
confidential. It's only authorized for, let's say, my enterprise. If I use it like and with a Copilot and the work, does that mean I'm not violating any copyrights or anything like that? That's my
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. So I
And
can, let's say, I need to search some contents within the user manual. User manual says confidential for my organization only. So I can use my work
Yep.
Copilot to search for information, right?
Yes, that's correct. And you'll always know too, it has that shield that says enterprise data protection. So you'll know that it is protected.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. All right, a lot of questions. I love it, but I don't want to sell the demo too much. So let's keep going. So with Copilot Chat, like I was saying, you have the work in the web tab. So we were getting into that. What I find really helpful with, let's say with the web, we can get into the work, but we'll start with the web. I love doing my research with Copilot here. So for example, we were building that web page, even just it was about Microsoft Copilot. We can just ask it a simple question, what it is, please cite the sources so I can do further research. Right. So that is Copilot, the key features, what it is, use cases. Now, like I said, Copilot will always reference where it's finding that information from. So let's dive deeper. Let's say I'm still doing my research. I open this up and I have this web page that I'm looking at, more information on what Copilot can do. If you're not using Microsoft Edge, I would highly recommend it because I have the Copilot icon right in my browser. So what that can do is it will actually open up Copilot right here in the browser, which is awesome because it actually knows what I'm looking at on my page. For example, I don't want to look at this page. Maybe it's a technical document or something like that. Summarize this page for me. And as you can see, it will do that for me. The benefits, examples right there. Maybe I want to ask Copilot, maybe I'm building that resource hub. Can you actually find me an ebook or infographic that I can share with my organization? Actually, that's not what I wanted. Let's ask Copilot. Let's try again. Can you find me an ebook or infographic about Copilot so I am able to share it with my organization? So as you can see with my prompts, sometimes it's a trial and error. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you'll see this is what I wanted. Microsoft 365 ebook. I open this up. And right here, I can now have an ebook that I can download and share with my colleagues. So really easy finding information that way. A couple of things too with Copilot Chat. If I go back to the work tab, I just wanted to mention you can do like more finding information this way. So for example, I can do a / and reference people, even files, as you can see here. That's the one that we just created. Can you give me all the steps in bullet points, for example? So really easy. You can ask Copilot questions that way, or then we can even dive into more. What is the best practice for promoting the resource page? And as you see, it's very easy. It's like a chat. So you keep asking Copilot more questions for the response that you want, right? So email newsletters, social media posts, influencers, search engine marketing. So that's with the work. As you can see, it's going through some files. I can even ask, do you have more resources on Copilot here? So I asked that through the web and it gave me that ebook. I can ask it through the work and see if it can find any files in our work OneDrive. So here's some training outlines, some resource hubs. I have some plans. So there are some links that we can look at. All right. Last thing I wanted to show is the create here. Creating images sometimes can be difficult with AI, but I find Microsoft is doing a pretty good job at it. Now, this is, I recently found this a couple weeks ago, and I've been trying it out more, but you can create images, posters, even videos. For example, I haven't actually tried the video, but you can create videos straight from your own presentations. So I'm wondering how that would look. Even designing banners, creating forms, posters, like I said. So I have a prompt here, a modern, sleek office space with a diverse team. As you can see, now I can select the style that I want. So let's go whimsical 3D. And then what's really cool too is I even set up my own brand kit here. And then I have the size. So I'll show you how Copilot can actually generate images. And it's really good. You should check it out if you do have a Copilot license. It's pretty fun to use. Do you have any questions in the meantime? This is the last demo that I'm showing today, and then we're going to get into next steps. So anything you're curious about before we wrap up, just let me know. And I'm happy to show you or even answer your questions. Because this part is slow, but it does its job. So it's pretty good if you can see as it's going. And I would even like use this for any type of graphic, like for my PowerPoints, even the blogs. I find it's really well done. It's like almost as good as even downloading images from Shutterstock or some type of stock website. So it's really fun, and it is actually really good with text. Sometimes I found earlier last year, the text wasn't as clear, but with this way to create images, it's pretty good. Okay. So that's it for my demo. I hope you learned something, but actually, let me go back to mail because this was the rule that we set up. So that did work. And I remember, Pauline, you wanted to see quick prompts to save that. So let me actually show you that too. So we might go a little over time. I apologize. It's just because everyone had so many questions today, which was awesome. Okay, where am I looking for? Let's go back here. So if there's a specific prompt you want, you just highlight it and you can save prompt here. So if I save this, I can name the title of the prompt. Yeah, I know this is a basic prompt that I selected, but that's how you do it. And then you just click save. And then I believe here, when you click view all prompts, this little guy, this is where you go to your prompts and then you have them saved here. So I hope that helped in case there are specific prompts that you use every day. Can we schedule the prompts? I don't think so. That might have to be with Copilot Studio, maybe. Don't quote me on that. There might be a way where you can have some type of workflow with it, but for now in the chat, I don't think you can do that. We're going to move on to next steps because I know we have a minute, but we might go a little over time. A lot of people also want to know other areas that AI can help with. So we do have this proof of concept where you pick a specific use case. We will build that AI proof of concept and then even go through it, test it with you, with your business and live data. That's all happening in 3 days. So it's a really cool offer. So it's 3,000 from you, and then we'll even match that with 3,000 from us. All right. No other questions? I hope you all have a great day wherever you are, and thank you again for joining.